Hello, everyone. So this is Dave Eckert from the U.S. office. With me, Andrea, as usual, and we're going to be
Hello.
doing the last webinar for 2023 from us, and we're going to be talking about version 23.1, which came out about a month and a half ago. Next slide. So just to look at the agenda, we'll be looking at some of the improvements or enhancements that we've made to the connection app, as well as some additional BIM link options, and just kind of interoperability options that we're going to have. Talk a little bit about the connection library on the website. Then we'll talk briefly about member and detail. So before we get started here, I'm going to go ahead and launch a poll. So again, just kind of asking if you've been using the latest version 23.1. So we'll give that a minute or so for people to answer. I'll just share the results. So good to see about half of you have been using version 23.1. So this will be a good refresher for some of you and maybe some new information for some others. And it's good to see that we have 12% that don't have the software, but obviously are interested in it. So with that, I will turn off the poll and I will hand it off to Andrea.
All right, thank you. All right, so let me jump directly into the software. So this first part of the presentation, we'll be talking about IDEA StatiCa connection. All right, so if you look at this screen that I am seeing, you can see that we have a redesign of the application. So in the latest version of IDEA StatiCa, that is 23.1, and actually we have already a patch, so you can download the latest that it's 23.1.1, all right? Anyway, since 1 month ago, we have this new redesign of the application. So you can see that all the icons are new. All of them were redesigned. But one good thing is that we have all the tools in the same position that you were used to. All right, so don't worry about learning a new interface. It is in the same location. I mean, all the tools are in the same location and all of them have the same functionalities, just like operations. If you go into the operation icon, you will see the same functionalities there. All right, so this is just like a refreshment of the application. So don't worry that you will find new things. It's the same. All right, so that's one thing, okay, that you will find in this new version 23.1. The next or the following thing that I want to show with this model is that we are working to have or to improve the section views of some operations. So in this new version 23.1, we rework the section view of fin plates or shear tabs, all right, and gusset plates. So if you don't know this, you can right click over any operation here in the model and you can create a section. So once you click on create section, you will see all the details here, all right? So you can also use this button, so that will reverse the view. So now we are seeing this plate here, and then you can zoom in and zoom out in this view as well. If you click over this square, you can increase the size of this view here, all right, and include other details in that view. But if you're just interested in this shear tab section view, that's it. So what we are improving? Okay, so we're working on not having all this overlap of information. In the past, we had this distances in the column area, so now it's where it needs to be. All right, so we have all these details, and these views can be included in the report. All right. You can go back to the solid view and now click over the gusset plate and also create a section there. All right. As mentioned, again, you can also increase the view of the section view, right? And have that there. Then go back to the solid view, and also then if you want a detail in this member, you can also create a section. So where you can go back to those sections, also you can click over here, okay, and then you will go back to that view and then click in this drop down menu and see specifically that fin plate or shear tab section view. Right, so once you're okay with that, then you go into the report area. You can activate this icon here that it's called pictures in the gallery. If you hover the mouse, right, then you generate this model and you will see all those section views. So we're working in generating better section views or better drawings for details, right? But remember that we always can export this this file to DXF. So that will export all the drawings into a DXF CAD. But for having it here, you can just create those section views and you can have those details in this report as well. All right. All right, so let's jump to the next improvement in this IDEA StatiCa connection app. So for that one, I'll use this example. Okay, so let me turn on here. All right, so this is a simple share tab, well, channel member to an HSS column, and I model here a simple share tab to the channel member. So if you know, well, if you have used IDEA StatiCa, we always have this forces in the position of forces specified for every member. Okay, so that will give you the ability to input the shear force located where you want. Like if you want to have that shear force applied on the node or in the bolts or in whatever position you want along this member. Okay, and this input is important just when you have shear forces on that member. Anyway, we have a lot of webinars talking about the position of forces, but in the past you need to go to load effects, then you need to go to the wireframe view to see the moment diagram generated by that shear force. All right, so you have to go to load effects, wireframe view, and then clicking on the member to see where that shear force or where that hinge is located, right? So now here you can see the moment diagram created by -10 kips located at the bolt's position. Okay, so this is the moment created by that force, and this is the moment created at the node, just because that eccentricity that you input, because locating, well, due to the fact of locating that force here. Okay, now if you go to the B member, you don't have to go to load effects to see that diagram. You can be in the transparent view, okay, by clicking here. And when you click on the members, you will see the moment diagram created by unitary shear force. Okay, so that's why you're seeing some values over here, but that's just the moment created by one kip located at the bolts. All right. So the next thing to show you about this moment diagram here, or well, forces position, is that let's imagine this is not a bolted connection, but you change that to welded, okay? And then you see the weld here on that shear tab. And then you want to assess the shear force at this weld, right? So now you can click over the B member and you can select forces in the connected member face. So that will be on member C, that is the column. And if you go to the transparent view, you can see that the hinge is located here at the member face of this HSS, all right? So that is an option to move that related to the connected member, all right? Okay, so now let's jump into the second example. I'll close this model. I'll save this. Let's jump to the second example, and well, the third feature that I want to show you here in the new 23.1. So let's review this model. So here we have a moment connection with this angle here, okay? So for this example, or for this design, we wanted to weld this plate to this cap plate, okay? So in the past, to do that, like to cut this plate by this plate and then having a weld inside there, we had to model a working plane here, okay? Locating that here in the model using the coordinates and rotation, then you using a cutoff plate by a working plane. So that is the working plane I show. And finally, adding the weld between this plate and this other plate. So that'll be this weld here, okay? And that is a CGP weld. So if you see the transparent view, you can see that weld there, okay? So that thing that I did here, or that design, included 3 operations. So now the new thing is that, let me turn off those operations. And now you can add a cutoff plate. Well, always you can add a cutoff plate. You can select this, but now you can cut this plate by this other plate, even though they are parallel. Okay, so that will be SP3. So yeah, let me see. Sorry, this is SP2 cut by this cap plate called Stiff 2A. Okay, so I select a plate. So this is a Stiff 2A, and then the cutting method will be surface. Okay, and we'll specify CGP weld over here. So now we can do that automatically with just 1 operation instead of 3. Okay, and then you just copy this operation to cut this other plate, SP3. All right, and there you go. Now we have that joint there. Okay, so cutoff plate by another plate and having the same angle. Now it's possible with this new improvement. All right, let's go back to the presentation here. Okay, just recalling what I showed you. We have this new improved section views and graphics, right, in the software. The shear force position, you can see now the moment diagram by clicking the transparent view, okay, and clicking on the members. Then we have this new input connected member face when you want to assess the shear force on the connected member face, all right? And finally, the cutoff plate, parallel plates. This is available since version 23.1.1. So that is the latest one, okay? All right, so the next, I think, David, you have a poll here? Not really, right?
No, not yet.
Yeah, not yet. All right, thank you. All right, so let's start talking about the workflows we have in IDEA StatiCa. So as you may know, IDEA StatiCa is an independent software company that focuses on the structural engineering details. As we are independent and we don't have a global analysis software in our portfolio, and we don't plan to, our main goal is to help engineers linking their main applications to IDEA StatiCa so that they can design the details like steel connections or a critical steel member in their main global analysis, or a critical D region in their concrete analysis or concrete structure. All right. So also, we want to help you by saving time by reusing the models that you already work in your main application, right? So that is our main goal. So probably you have heard about the workflows we offer. If not, please check our website. But in summary, from your global analysis software, you can link the model to checkbot and use the load combinations to design the joint, all right, in IDEA StatiCa connection. If there is any change in the main structure, we can synchronize changes from the other software into checkbot, and that will update the loads and profile section changes, so you can rerun an analysis in IDEA StatiCa connection, all right? Then we have the second type of link, where you already model connections in your beam detailing software, and you want those connections into IDEA StatiCa. So it works the same as the first type of link. Checkbot is used to control the joints that you imported, all right? And if there is any change in profile sections, you can also synchronize the model, all right? So we have this option to synchronize the members and material if you do a change in your beam or detailing software. But we were missing an important step, and from many feedback that we got from our users, we developed the round trip by using an open technology, and that is IFC file, all right? IFC file will help us to communicate back to the modeling applications to help detailers or BIM administrators to review modifications and do changes if required. Okay, so let's see a proposed workflow in the following video. Okay, so let's play this. So this is an example where a connection was exported to IDEA StatiCa checkbot. So you need to do this process in checkbot by selecting one by one and then open that connection in IDEA StatiCa connection. Then you run an analysis. For instance, in this case, when we were reviewing this connection, there was like a hot spot here, or there were high stresses on the HSS members. So, for instance, in this case, a change was required to locate a through plate. Okay, so then you do changes. But then to update or modify your main application, or for instance, in this case, the TECLA file, now we can create an IFC file from the report tab, right? So you create an IFC file, and then that IFC file can be imported in TECLA as a reference model, and then you can use all the utilities that, or the tools that you have in TECLA to use that information and put it again in this joint. Okay, so you can see here this IFC or this modified model in TECLA. All right. So let's jump in one poll that David has for you. David, now it's time, right?
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So this poll is just asking whether you've imported a model directly into Checkbot. So a couple of different answers as far as from analysis tools, from your detailing or BIM software, from both, no, or what is Checkbot? Okay, and let's just share those results for you. So I guess we need to do a better job of explaining or talking about the Checkbot and how it can be used with your software. Since about 68% of you haven't used Checkbot at all, it's good to see some of you have. That's definitely something that we would potentially want to discuss with you. So feel free to reach out to us, and we can kind of talk to you a little bit more about it and how to kind of help streamline some of your workflows. So I will hand it back to Andrea.
Yeah, that's good information. So we'll do a demo on Checkbot, so I can show you some things there. All right, thank you, David. Okay, let me change the slide. All right, just like a reminder, you can create the IFC file either from IDEA StatiCa standalone or IDEA StatiCa in Checkbot. All right, that example that I show you, it's by exporting the IFC from the report tab. All right, so that is always an option. Also, there is another option to use IDEA StatiCa online viewer. So for those who doesn't know, we have a free viewer. Okay, if you type in Google IDEA StatiCa viewer, you can open that, and then you just need the IDEA StatiCa file. All right, then you can drop that file there, and you can review all the details of that connection or from that model. But then you can also, let me zoom to that area here. You can also create the IFC file from this model. Okay, so then you can use that IFC file in another BIM application or detailing application. And just like an introduction of this viewer, this is also one application, so the connection designers can share the information with other stakeholders that needs all these details here. All right, and well, also they can download the IDEA StatiCa file and a 3D drawing file. Okay. All right. So so the IFC export was released 1 month ago. And we keep improving this tool. So far, this is what we have at in just 1 month after we release it, okay? So this is a continuous process and your feedback is very valuable. right? So now we have openings and notches. We can export the negative volume if you have that in IDEA StatiCa connection. We can also export the circular plates, and we have an improved positioning of welds. So all these screenshots are a model that was exported from IDEA StatiCa via IFC, and this is how it looks. So we have almost all the details, right? But again, we need your feedback so we can learn what we are missing, okay, in this IFC file. All right, so another big news in IDEA StatiCa 23.1 is our new link to SDS2, okay? So this is available since IDEA StatiCa 23.1 and also SDS2 23i, all right? So let's see the following video with an overview of this new link. I did this video on the sample model of SDS2, all right? So in this case, all the connections are added there, and you type IDEA StatiCa in the searcher. Once you install the plugin, all right, you can create a checkbot file from there, and then select the one option to import a connection. So you need to select an endpoint so we can detect where is the working point or the node. Then you select the members, and finally select the connection items, okay? So once you are done with that, you press enter, and then this connection will be imported into checkbot, and then you can open that specific connection and see all the details there, add loads, and then run the analysis, okay? So I'll do a live demonstration of the link, okay, with the SDS2 sample model here. All right, so in this case, I am here seeing the sample model, and I don't have checkbot yet open. So I'll look for that one. So I'll type here IDEA StatiCa or IDEA, and then IDEA StatiCa checkbot will come. Okay, so I click on that one. And in this case, I already create the checkbot file. Okay, you will see this window pop up. Don't worry about it. You don't need to do anything with that one. Let's just wait for IDEA StatiCa checkbot to open. So now it's been open. I mean, if you're using it for the first time, you just need to create the project, select the correct code. In this case, AISE, that's the one I select. And in this case, I already have some connections that were imported, right? So basically, this is IDEA StatiCa checkbot. You can see here the name of the application, all right? And this is where we, let's say, control all the joints that you imported from other software. So this is the same interface that you will see if you connect the checkbot with your global analysis software like maybe StatPro, ETAP, SAP 2000. So that will be the same. The only different that it's different from FEA application or global application versus detailing software is that we don't bring the loads. Just because, for instance, in this case, SDS2 doesn't have like end results from the analysis design. All right. All right. So, well, the process to import a connection, I'll use this one option. So you can click over this one, and then it's telling you to go to now to SDS2. So you go now to the model here and say, okay, I want to transfer this joint here, right? So you can see the, well, it will disappear, but you will see here the instructions where it says the status line, okay? So you can see that says pick a member at end as a connection point. So this is like the solid view, well, a cube view. So you click over that one. And now the next instruction is to select the analyzed member. So I'll select first the column. Then by pressing Shift, I can select all the other members connected to that joint, all right? Now I press Enter, and now I have to select the connection items. I'll create a square here to select all the connection items here in this joint. All right, so you can see all of those highlighted there. Okay, and then press enter again. Then Windows will pop up here, and it is asking you if you want to import also the recommended welds. I'll say no, because the welds that I need are already modeled in those details, right? So then if something is not mapped, IDEA StatiCa will ask me to map correctly that member, okay? So I can click over the plus icon. So that is a 5x5 by 3/8. So I can go to the HSS. Not all the cases will ask you to match this, okay? 5x5 by 3/8 here, okay? And then click OK, and OK. Okay, so let's wait. And you now will see here this this connection, this new connection. We well, I already imported some of them, so I can right click over that connection and then open. So that will open IDEA StatiCa connection. Okay, so let's give it a sec. And then you will see this model here. So if you see all these operations, you can see these are like the translation from the SDS2 operations into the IDEA StatiCa world, let's say, right? So we have some working planes here, some cuts. So basically it's converting all the elements into IDEA StatiCa operations. So for instance, we always need to do like a double check here. If you see, this is just imported as one side well. I'll change that to double side well here. But that can be modified in the IDEA StatiCa operation. So if you click there, you can also select this double fitted well. Then let's go to this one. And that also needs to be changed to double fitted well. All right. Then the other thing that that always you need to double check is the position of forces. Of course, this is an input in IDEA StatiCa. This won't come in the from SDS2, right? So always check the forces in and also the model type. So I'll use the bolts and just double check that the position of that shear force at the bolts, it's okay. So the same for this one. Then we change it to the bolts. The same for this one, bolts. And there you go, right? And finally, let's add some load effects. So here I have the load effects option. You can right click over the load effects or clicking over this icon here and create a new load case. Okay, so you can add more and more load cases or use the XLS import to import all the forces into the stream members in an automatic way. Like if you have many load effects or many load combinations, you can do that by importing the forces in with Excel. All right. So let's add a shear force for all of them, just for the demonstration. And again, sometimes we'll need to do some modifications if this doesn't run, but don't worry, we have all the operations here available to be modified. All right, so let's calculate this. And let's see the results here. All right, so something is, well, here you can see that we have the green color. That means something is above 60% of utilization. So we can go into the check tab. And the first thing to review is the equivalent stresses and the form shape, just to see if this is deforming as you were expecting, right? Well, somehow it's okay, right? The only thing that I will add to this HSS will be a cap plate, so we have more rigidity on this member. All right, so that's where the changes start. So, for instance, you can decide if maybe if you have a higher load, you can just decide and say, okay, you know, let's add a double angle connection instead of a shear tab. All right, so that's where the designer comes here and start taking decisions for this connection. And then that's where you can go into the report tab and create an IFC file and send those changes to the SDS2 people, right? The ones that are working on SDS2. So if you come here and then you add a stiffener, so you can add more operations here. So this is a stiffener, and that will be on M31, and that will be a cap plate. Okay. So just one side welds or CJP welds, so that is up to you. So you can create an offset, like 1/4 offset here, so that will be increased there. And now you add a 1/4 weld, right? And then rerun the analysis to see if that is okay. So, all right, once you're okay with the design, you can create the report, create the IFC file, and then you close this connection. Do you want to save it? Yes, we want. All right, and now we have here the summary of this connection, that everything is okay, and then you can continue with the other connections, either to import or redesign. Okay. So one thing to consider is that while we are working here in Checkbot, SDS2 is like unresponsive, right? This is because this is Checkbot is just connected to SDS2. Here we can see the icon in this corner over here, okay? And Checkbot wants only to be, I mean, that the person is working only here. We're changing that because if you want to go back here and see the end forces on the members that were located in the drawing, you that should be possible. But as you can see here, we cannot work right now here. Okay, just a thing to consider. If you want to go back to your SDS2 model, then you need to close Checkbot. All right, and then now we can work on this model again. Okay, so all right, let's go back to the presentation and let's continue with this with the agenda. All right. Well, one thing to mention is that if you already have IDEA StatiCa 23.1 and SDS2, to activate the link, you can go into IDEA StatiCa, this Beam tab here, click over the Activate Your Beam link, and you should see the SDS2 icon, and you should see an install button there. If it's already installed, you will see it like this. There are some things to consider, as I mentioned. Of course, this plugin is an advanced beta version, all right? And we have found some things, and I am sharing this items that we have learned, all right? If the plugin is not installed and you try everything, we have the X file of that plugin in the IDEA StatiCa program files. If you have this issue, just contact me and I can help you with that. Also, we have found some cases where the user have the SDS2 application installed in the server. So make sure you install the plugin in the same location, okay? Also, Net6 is needed to make the plugin work. So if you don't have it in your computer, maybe that is the issue, okay? So you need to install Net 6.0. You can Google that and download that for free, okay? And the thing that I mentioned, once Checkbot is open in the import screen, the SDS2 will become unresponsive, okay? So until you close Checkbot, then you can go back to SDS2 and work in SDS2, okay? And again, the plugin is in beta version and feedback is always welcome. So that is how we learn from the users and share all this information with you, okay? All right, so let's talk about connection library. Maybe you haven't heard about connection library, but we already did some posts, emails, and we shared a lot of information, but quickly I'll go through connection library. Connection library is a website where you can find connections, right? And before, like 1 month before, you were able just to review the connections, right? Just to like rotate the model and see how the joint was addressed, okay? From now, you can go into connection library, look for the type of joint you're looking for. I mean, look for a specific joint, and then you can click over open in desktop. So that will open that file in your desktop application. That means IDEA StatiCa connection. But for that, you need a license, of course, all right? And also you need to be logged in there. Okay, so let me just show you really quick for those who doesn't know what is connection library. This is on the website, so you can just type connection library IDEA StatiCa, and then you will come to this website here. And then you can add more members. For instance, here I am adding M4, and say this is 90 degrees, okay? And sorry, that will be minus 90 here, so we have it in the other side, and put 0 in the vertical degree. See, there you go. Now it's where I want. Then you can click over the members and change the cross section, all right? For any type or a channel member, I shape, angle, T shape. So you can select whatever you want in terms of members. So once you specify the geometry of the joint, then you can search connections for that type of joint, right? So as I was mentioning, in the past, if you click over this connection and say, okay, I want to see what are the details, you could just rotate the model. Now we have this option to download that model and then open that in desktop. Okay, so if I click there, then you can open from here this model. So that is really, really cool, because then you can explore many connections in IDEA StatiCa, okay? So you don't need to recreate those. You can just download that model, all right? Okay, so.
Okay, we have one last poll question to pose. Keep everybody awake. So this is just asking if you've used the connection library that's on the website. Obviously, there's additional functionality now with being able to bring those models into the desktop application. Okay, we'll go ahead and close that out now and just share so you can see what's happening. So half of you haven't used it. Basically, a quarter of you have used it, and a quarter of you didn't know it existed. So, well, now you learned something today that we have that. So hopefully you can look into it and see if it could be helpful. So back to you, Andrea.
All right, thank you. Okay, so now let's talk about some news in IDEA member application. I am sharing just the highlights of all the improvements. Of course, we have more. We have a release notes website for 23.1 where we have all the news in all the applications like IDEA StatiCa connection, member, and detail. For member, I wanted to share this improvement that we have now a rigid support member. So let me show you that on IDEA StatiCa member. Okay. So let's say you want to test the software using an example from AISC design guide number 2. So that design guide is for openings in steel members, right? So this is an example. This is the example I am using. You can explore that later, but let's imagine you want to test this beam, right? In IDEA StatiCa member. So you go into the member app, then you can create a new file here, and then if I click over browse, you save wherever you want. You put a name like a opening beam or wherever, then you select the design code. Here we have some examples that you can open and play around, but in this case I'll just select this first geometry, okay, 836, and let's see what are the sizes. So this will be a 30-foot span, okay, and the beam size of, well, the beam size is 24 by 55. Okay, so you click over that one, then click OK, and then create the project. All right, so IDEA StatiCa member is an application to review a critical element in your structure. So this is not to create, the full structure. It is just to review this member. So we call it the analyze member over here, okay? And then the other members that you are seeing here, those are just to, let's say, simulate the supports, okay? So in the past, you have to specify a member to be the support. And then if you have other members, well, you just, either you can just add them or delete them, okay? So you can delete this, and then you will need to come here and create a connection from this analyze member to the column, okay? So that was like kind of tricky when you wanted just to analyze one member, just like this case where we have that problem to analyze an opening on the member. So now I can delete this RM2, okay? And then click on this node and tell the software that I have a rigid support member, okay? So I don't have to create a member. So now we have this like rigid plate, okay? But still I need to create a connection from this member to the rigid support because we are considering the stiffness of those connections, okay? So I'll do the same with this RM4. I'll delete that. We always have the option, right, to have that related member, but in this case, again, I am using this new option here. So, okay, so if I go into connection 1, I can edit this connection. And this will be just a shared connection to the rigid member, okay? So I can go here into connection and start using all the operations that we have for IDEA StatiCa connection, because we will consider the stiffness of that connection. Either you can start from the operations or use the connection library that we have constructed here inside the application, and you can propose a connection. So I click that and I'll use one of all the proposed connections here, okay? That will be a simple shear tab. I can select here a 3/4 bolts, then click OK, and then OK, right? I can say, okay, I want from top of steel -2 inches, and then 3 bolts, 6 bolts space by 3 inches, okay? All right, so we are good with that. We save that, and then we close that, okay? Then I can come here into this second connection and apply the same connection I just created. So I can click on over apply, and there you go. Now we have the boundary conditions for this member. Remember, we are focused on analyzing this member, this 24 by 55. Okay, so now let's go to the forces. From that example, I need to add -2 kip feet, okay? So I'll put just -2. And here you can see that this is applied here from the starting point, well, from 0 to the end point. All right, that didn't follow my 36, so I can come to the connection 2 and change the X position to 36. All right, so everything, well, can be changed here. And finally, if I click on the analyze member, I can add sub operations here, okay? So that is where IDEA StatiCa member is very useful. You can add like openings, stiffeners on this member, just for those cases where you have this type of critical members. You can add like an opening here just to analyze probably an castelet beam, for instance. So you can select different shapes here to add it, okay? So in this case, I'll select the web one on AM1, okay? So look at that. I have that circle there, but in this case, I'll use a rectangle. So that rectangle will have a shape of 20 by 10. That will be 20 by 10 here. And I'll move that. So that is 18. I'll put that at the center part of this beam. Okay, so that will be 216 inches, and it will have an eccentricity down here 2 inches. So I'll put 2 inches there. So now we have that. We can change the rounding radius, like half of an inch up 0.5 here. All right. And then also you can add stiffeners. In this case, that example was without an stiffener. Okay, so now let's just make sure everything here it's okay. Let me set up those support conditions, and then we can just calculate the analysis. All right. So this new feature of a rigid support makes easy to analyze just one beam. All right, you don't have to think about inputting a support member, and it makes really easy the modeling. Okay, so after you run the analysis, you can go into the check tab and review the stresses on this member. Okay, so that is how we check that. Then you can run a local buckling analysis and then review the local buckling factor and see if that member will have an issue. All right, so I'll jump into the last topic that I have for you today, because we are running out of time, so we can have a little bit of time for questions. All right, the last thing that I will talk about is the redesign of IDEA StatiCa detail application. Right, so let me go to that final example that I have here. Like 2 months ago, we did a detailed webinar where I show you how to create this transfer beam. Okay, but now I just want to show you this model with the new application. In this case, it was totally redesigned. All right, but the good thing is that this detail application is following the same, let's say, structure as IDEA StatiCa connection application. Why? Because we have everything in this tree of items. Like you can control everything from here. So if you click on the first support, you will have all the details here. So I think it's easier to use because you have the control of the model from here. So you can go to the combinations here and the group of bars. So everything is in this area. And then, of course, we redesigned all the icons as well, right? So you can see that. Then if you go into the check tab, it's a cleaner view of results, okay? So you can hit calculate and it's following the same. You will have the different load cases in this area and results in the other side. So it's following the same structure as IDEA StatiCa connection. So let me just show you here. So you can go into the summary or the strength results and change the results by combination over here. And if you go to the deflection area, you can select the different load combinations for serviceability. All right. So yeah, test this new interface and let us know what you think. All right, David, I think we are just at the end of the webinar. Do we have some questions that maybe I can show?
Yeah,
sorry, Jan or Jason.
I'll jump in here. Yeah, Jason. I'll jump in here with some questions. So we only have a few minutes, so we'll try to be quick here. But most of them are kind of revolving around the integrations and CheckBot. So that sounds like we do need to do another webinar on CheckBot soon here. One quick one before that is somebody was just asking about the PowerPoint presentation and if that's going to be available. And so that, along with the recording of the webinar, will both be put up on the website usually within a couple of days here, so you can jump on there and grab that and check that out. One question for you, Andrea. Somebody was asking about options for, or I guess kind of best practice when you're working with SDS2 or Tekla, and then IDEA, but they're on separate computers, or perhaps it's a detailer and an engineer in a different office. What's kind of the best workflow that you'd recommend when you're doing that?
Yeah, so for Tekla, specifically for Tekla, Revit, and Advanced Steel, so far, we have a plugin that they don't need IDEA StatiCa, right? We're working also for the plugin for SDS2, but in that case, they just can select the joint and then export it to an independent IDEA StatiCa file. So then they can send that file, and then the connection designer can review that file. That is only available for those three that I mentioned, and that is called IDEA StatiCa Plugin Viewer, I think, and that's on the website, so that's available.
Okay. There were some other questions just about, you were showing the SDS2 link, but then what's the link with RESA like or Revit like? And so I'd recommend, if you hop on the website and go to the BIM dropdown, within there's a section called supported integrations, and that has more info on each and every one of our integrations, and how to set up those links. So the website is a great spot for all those individual links there. Another one was asking about kind of round tripping with SDS2 or Tekla, and if IDEA can send a model back into SDS2 or Tekla. And so the way we do that is through the IFC export, like Andrea mentioned. We don't have a direct link to send info back at this point.
The full thing, yeah.
That's right. That's right. One last kind of random question we'll throw out there. Somebody was asking about the different cross sections that we have in the database, and there's, you see AISC, you see AISC 15, you see Imperial, and they were saying it can be a little confusing on knowing which one to use. Can you add a little background on that, or which ones they should use?
Yeah, so let me see if I can show it here. If we have it, yeah. So this will be the same for IDEA StatiCa connection. So if you see the I section, and then you click over the three dots, we have a lot of databases or libraries for that I shape. But that is just because we have international databases, right? And then the other thing is that we have this Imperial. Those were in a past library. The latest ones are the ones that says AISC 15. Okay, so those are the manual 15, from the manual 15. And then one thing that you can do is by clicking over this start, and later you will have all of them in your favorites. Okay.
Yeah, and the search feature is also a nice one to use there if you're just looking for a quick.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you look for the 24 by 55, like the one that I was using, then you click over that one, and there you go.
Yeah. One last follow-up question to that is there a way to see sort of an export of all these different materials, or excuse me, all these different shapes?
Like our database?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if there was a way to do that.
Yeah, you can go into the materials tab, and you can see here the material and product library from here. So these are the databases, and the ones that you're using in this model, they are also in this materials tab.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, that probably wraps us up for questions today, since we're getting at the end of the time here.
Yeah, so thanks for sitting in. I know we ran a little over today, but hopefully it was useful and helpful for you. As always, if you have any further questions, definitely feel free to reach out to us through the web, through user portal. And with that, we will finish up. So I hope everybody has a good end to 2023, and we will see you in early 2024. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.